In your TED talk at the University of Manchester, you described the experience of attending a conference of social media bloggers and influencers. And you described that experience as a hamster wheel from hell. And one of the reasons you said you felt that way was because everyone was just talking about themselves. They were just talking about me. I find a very interesting distinction these days in storytelling on platforms where I find social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube in particular, they have become very individual centric. And that's just the niche that they've carved out in themselves. So if I go on Instagram, if I go on TikTok, I'm going to watch one particular individual's song or dance or their review reaction videos. And mass media, if you will, TV, movies, books, they still seem to cater to a much wider audience. They're still based around bigger stories. Do you think this distinction exists? And do you think it will continue to exist? And because I find businesses also now creeping into, they're identifying which platform works for them. So if it's a product that works with influencers, then they go into Instagram directly. If it's a bigger product that will work in a movie, then they go to the movie directly. Do you think that distinction is creating now? And where do you think it's heading?
I think there's a very interesting book by a guy called, I can see it on my bookshelf, Jonah Sachs. It's called Winning the Story Wars. And his argument is that we've always had an individual oral story tradition where individual storytellers, the good ones, got lots of attention and people would crowd round them to listen, and they could hold a crowd, they could hold an audience, and they could tell stories. Okay, we've always had that tradition is thousands of years old. Okay, and then in the 20th century, something interesting happened, which was the radio and television allowed broadcasting to happen in a way that the audience became removed. So when you're telling a story to somebody, like even in this situation now where we are, I am constantly watching you to make sure you're not bored, you're not drifting, your attention's not wandering. So I'm constantly checking in with my audience to see if what I'm saying is making sense.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. And therefore, I will adapt what I'm saying depending on the feedback I'm getting. That's individual storytelling. TV and radio come along to an extent, mass printing, books and newspapers, yes, but TV and radio come along, and all of that's gone. There is no feedback at all. It's a one-way delivery system with no feedback. So the audience is reduced to this kind of much more passive role, where all they can do is switch off, switch over. They can't influence the story at all in the same way that they could do when they were crowding around a speaker. Jonah Sachs's argument is what social media has done is it's redressed that balance. So suddenly, it's like campfire again. So suddenly Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all these storytelling platforms are highly interactive, right? So that the storytellers are absolutely aware if they're losing their audience. They get data, they get click-throughs, they get likes, repeat. You know the situation. So his case is you can't, certainly from a corporate point of view, as a corporate communicator, you can't rely on the big broadcast model anymore where you just pump information at people and hope that they listen. What you're into now is a much more kind of performance-based and interactive relationship where you're going to tell a story, but you're going to watch your audience really closely to make sure they're still with you, and you're going to give them what they want. Otherwise, they're going to go somewhere else. And I think that's what we're seeing with social media. Is it's highly, highly interactive. The reason why I described the influencer game as the hamster wheel from hell, in my opinion, I think that's a really punishing schedule when applied to a kind of mobile phone 24/7 always on culture, where you basically, it seems to me that the worst hamster wheel from hell is you have to post your hot take on whatever it is. You then respond to comments, you promote it, you post again, and you're just in this constant. My concern for people who are going down or thinking that's a good career, my concern is, and this is just anecdotal, I mean, there is some research on mental health and influencers, and it's not good. My concern is that if all you've got is your opinion, your take, on something, that's basically the fundamental. If that's all you've got as content, then you get yourself. You're going to run out of things to say, because none of us are that exciting, or you're going to find yourself pushed further and further and further to extreme views in order to still have something to say. So extreme performance, extreme emotion, extreme perspective, extreme opinion, and you end up going beyond what you can handle. And we've seen it again and again and again, where people have had very successful time as influencer, and then they say something and it all comes crashing down. Yeah. And so that's my kind of worry, is that it's faster moving, and I wouldn't, I wouldn't want to do it myself. I think of social media as a bit of a sewer.